If you're a Christian that works in the marketplace, you've probably wrestled with this idea that, well, people who work in the church, they do sacred work. But, I just work over here in the marketplace. So my work is secular. It's just worldly or ordinary. We're going to tear down that myth today.
Marketplace skills are missionary skills.
I love to tell people that I have a defined psychological disorder. It's called brumotactilophobia. Brumotactilophobia is the fear of your food touching. Like when the juice from your green beans kind of seeps into your mashed potatoes, it's just disgusting. It makes me sick to even think about it now, right? And so I've always appreciated those old school, middle school, high school lunch trays, the ones that had like the little partitions that, one was for your main course, like your chicken tenders, the little square for your tater tots or your mashed potatoes. And then you had the little circle that kept your milk carton, and all of it could be properly segmented. It could be properly, partitioned and kept away from the other. And I've always been a firm believer that this is how all food should be served in modern civilizations. It should be partitioned. It should be kept away from one another. And while I believe this is the proper way for food to be served, I think it's a terrible way for us to think about our Christian lives, our lives as believers. And yet a majority of us instinctively do it. We partition our lives into these little sacred and secular compartments. The theologians would call this the sacred secular divide. And it's actually a form of ancient Gnosticism. It's a modern form of ancient Gnosticism. The Gnostics believed that matter was evil, but spirit was good, right? And you had to keep those two things separated from one another. And this is a heresy, really, that the church has been fighting since the early days of Christianity. So this sacred secular divide, this idea that some aspects of our lives are sacred and other aspects of our life are secular, is something that we have to fight against. And I think this happens to us especially in the marketplace. We might say it something like this, right? Like I am an accountant. That is my secular job. That's what I do for a living. But I work in the kids ministry at my church, and that's really where my ministry, that's where my sacred work takes place. Or, I'm a coffee shop barista. That's my secular job. That's just what I do to earn money, to pay my bills. But I sing on the worship team. I volunteer and sing on the worship team at church, and that is really my sacred calling, my sacred ministry. Or I'm a construction contractor. That's my secular work. But I lead a small group at the church. That's my sacred calling. And so there's this unspoken partitioning in Western Christianity that the work we do in the church and for ministry or volunteer ministry, that is sacred work. But the work we do every day when we just get up and go to our jobs, that is actually secular. It is ordinary or worldly in some ways. So I spent 12 years in full-time pastoral ministry, and I will say there is something unique and special about the ecclesiastical call to full-time pastoral ministry. But this sacred secular thinking that most of us fight in our lives each and every day is really just bad theology. I believe it's really an abbreviation of the full gospel narrative. And it's one of the main reasons I think so many Christians fight this sense of meaninglessness or purposelessness in their everyday work. Because really, outside of the money maybe that you make and can give to the church or can give to missions, you really see no other connection between your everyday work, where you spend half of your waking hours each and every week, and this faith, this passion that you have for the Lord that you hold so dearly. That's why I love this quote from the great Oswald Chambers. He's the author of My Utmost for is highest. He actually said the spiritual manifests itself in a life that knows no division into sacred and secular. No division into sacred and secular. So I believe if we are truly going to be the people of God, if we are going to embrace the calling to be the aroma of Christ's coming kingdom in this world, if we're gonna water the earth with the glory of God, and I believe really, truly, if we are gonna see the Great Commission fulfilled in our generation, we have to tear down this pagan, sacred, secular divide, and we all have to embrace our missional calling as the people of God to embody the kingdom and to embody and proclaim the gospel in word and in deed in every sphere of this life. To those in ecclesiastical pastoral ministry, to missionaries on the mission field, and to every marketplace believer that is working in every marketplace sphere of this life. So this means we have to embrace the fullness. We have to embrace the fullness, the power, and the all-encompassing beauty of the gospel. And so I think this good work theology, this tearing down of the sacred secular divide, it starts with reminding ourselves of the whole gospel message. Look at this verse. I love this verse. It's one of my favorite in Colossians 1:19 and 20. It says, "For God in all his fullness was pleased to live in Christ, and through him God reconciled everything to himself. He made peace with everything in heaven and on earth by means of Christ's blood on the cross." The gospel redeems and resurrects all things, including the work of our hands, including marketplace jobs, including entrepreneurship, including everyday business endeavors. And so I want to tell you, my friends, that your work, whether you're a fourth grade teacher or the pastor of a church, whether you're a biologist, a missionary to an unreached people group, if you're a property manager, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are in full-time ministry, if you are in full-time marketplace reconciled to Christ, your work is sacred work. There is no sacred secular divide in God's kingdom under the power and redemptive reality of the gospel. Your work can be resurrected, reimagined, and embraced as part of God's kingdom mission in the world. And we need you. We need you to see it that way. The gospel redeems and resurrects all things. Jesus reconciles all things. There is no sacred secular divide. If these videos are helpful to you, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel here. And for a whole bunch of other resources just like this, you can go to thestonetable.org/start, and we'd love to connect with you there.